Dr. Eliza Chen lifted her champagne glass as humanity celebrated its greatest achievement, the Mars colony's grand opening, broadcast live to 11 billion viewers across Earth. On the main screen, the colony's golden dome gleamed against the rusty landscape as colonists raised their flags. "To the future," she whispered. The screen flickered. Static. Then darkness. Emergency protocols flashed across mission control. Chen's glass slipped from her fingers, shattering unnoticed as the observatory feed switched to deep space telemetry. They appeared first as impossibilities, massive objects materializing at Neptune's orbit, each larger than Manhattan Island. Black as the void between stars, they absorbed light rather than reflected it. 17 vessels arranged in perfect formation. "What the hell are we looking at?" Director Hammond demanded. Chen's instruments screamed with readings that defied physics. "They're accelerating without propulsion." Before Hammond could respond, every screen, radio, and communication device on Earth simultaneously broadcast the same message, translated into all human languages. "We are the myriad. Your species will serve or perish. You have 7 rotations to decide." The message repeated once, then silence. Immediate global panic. Markets collapsed within minutes. Religious fervor exploded across continents. In major cities, riots erupted alongside mass prayer gatherings. Governments worldwide declared martial law. 20,000 suicides were recorded in the first hour. 70 million kilometers away, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Wade watched the same transmission from Earth's classified Mars Defense Station, a weaponized satellite disguised as a research outpost. General Kimura, who had survived 2 wars, pressed his service pistol to his temple and pulled the trigger without a word. Wade lunged too late, his commander's blood splattering across his uniform. The control room erupted in chaos as the 6 remaining crew members witnessed their leader's suicide. "Sir! Sir!" Technician Rivera screamed. "You're in command now." Wade froze, staring at the advancing fleet on their monitors. Then training took over. Lock down the armory. Secure all command codes. Start monitoring all frequencies for anomalies. "They're broadcasting on every frequency simultaneously," Rivera reported. "That's impossible." Wade studied the fleet's trajectory. "Why are they slowing near Jupiter's moons?" "Sir, they're decelerating. An invasion force wouldn't slow down unless..." His secure line activated. The President herself, voice steady despite the circumstances. "Commander Wade, this is Activation Directive 117 Alpha. You are authorized to execute Protocol Ares. Authentication code, Thermopylae." Wade's blood ran cold. Protocol Ares, a planetary defense system so classified only 3 people on Earth knew its full capabilities, a system no human had ever dared activate. "Madam President, are you certain?" The simulations showed potential. Civilization-ending side effects, yes, but we'd rather take that chance than surrender to whatever these things are. As Wade accessed the locked protocols, his private monitor chimed. Dr. Eliza Chen, his former wife, appearing unexpectedly on his secure channel. "Marcus, don't activate anything yet. There's something wrong with their transmission. I'm immune to its effects." "Immune? What effects?" "Neural alterations. Everyone exposed is showing subtle brain chemistry changes, except me and anyone I've touched since my experimental treatment last month." Wade glanced at the fleet's position again. "They're deliberately avoiding something near Jupiter's moons, and now you're saying their transmission is affecting human biology? They're not just invading Marcus, they're preparing us for something worse." Wade made his decision. "I need 48 hours before initiating Protocol Ares. Tell me everything. You know." On his main screen, the alien fleet adjusted course, heading directly toward Earth. Captain Amara Okafor stood on the bridge of the UNS Intrepid, Earth's most advanced warship, now designated Diplomatic Vessel Alpha. Her mission: approach the alien mothership under pretense of peace while gathering critical intelligence, or die trying. "Final message recorded for your daughter, Captain," her XO reported quietly. Okafor nodded. "Broadcast our approach on all frequencies. Remember, we're peaceful representatives until we're not. As they approached the colossal alien vessel, its true scale became apparent. 27 kilometers long, with a hull that seemed to devour light itself. Without warning, their ship shuddered, caught in some invisible force. All systems failing, her navigation officer reported. We're being pulled in. The Intrepid was drawn into a cavernous docking bay large enough to house a small city. Inside, Okafor saw the preserved hulls of dozens, no, hundreds, of alien ships arranged like museum pieces. A macabre trophy room spanning what must have been millennia of conquests. My God, she whispered. They've done this before. Dr. Chen worked frantically in her CDC isolation lab, her hands trembling as she reviewed her blood samples. The myriad transmission had affected every human on Earth. Subtle neurological changes creating heightened suggestibility, fear responses, and diminished critical thinking. Except for those who had received her experimental microbiome therapy or had physical contact with her afterward. Her secure line activated, Wade from Mars Station. Eliza, I've accessed classified NASA files from 2031. They found something buried under Olympus Mons. Non-human technology, over 1 million years old. Chen froze. What kind of technology? Unknown. The mission director described it as a weapon, or shield of last resort. They sealed the finding after 3 researchers committed suicide upon examining the artifacts. Chen connected the dots. That's why the myriad are slowing. They can sense it. They fear Mars. There's more, Wade said. The NASA team found human DNA sequences embedded in the alien technology. Captain Okafor's diplomatic team was escorted by hovering drones into the mothership's central chamber. The myriad appeared, 9-foot humanoids with translucent skin, revealing pulsing blue circuitry beneath. They moved in perfect unison, like synchronized swimmers. Their leader spoke, its voice resonating from everywhere and nowhere. Humanity presents an anomaly. 17 species have joined our collective. You will be assimilated as the 18th. We've come to negotiate peaceful coexistence, Okafor responded, following the script. Negotiation implies equality. You are not equal. The aliens surrounded the human delegation, studying them with clinical detachment. One myriad placed its elongated fingers against Ambassador Chen's temple, who immediately collapsed, convulsing. Fascinating, the leader said. Your neural architecture resists standardization. Your genetic variations and microbiome diversity exceed all previous species by 287%. As the inspection continued, Okafor noticed something. When separated from the group, individual myriad moved differently, almost hesitantly. One passed close to her, and when the others weren't looking, it whispered, "Kill me. Please." Before she could respond, the creature's internal circuitry flared, burning it from within. The other myriad showed no reaction to their companion's death. Okafor activated her emergency transmitter, sending the thermal imaging data they'd gathered. The readings showed cold spots within each alien's brainstem, potential control nodes. You bring contamination, the myriad leader announced suddenly. You must be cleansed before integration. The mothership's weapons powered up as Okafor's team raced back to their vessel. The Intrepid's engines screamed as they broke free of the docking field, but it was too late. The alien weapons sheared through their hull. In her final moments, Okafor uploaded the complete scan data to Earth, appending a single message. They're not invading Earth. They're running from something worse and using us as shields. The Intrepid exploded in nuclear fire, but not before her transmission reached its destination, Dr. Eliza Chen's secure terminal. The world watched in horror as Lake Victoria boiled. 38 million people lived along its shores. Had lived. The myriad's energy beam had struck without warning, vaporizing Africa's largest lake in 93 seconds. Steam clouds towered, 20 kilometers high, triggering instant climate disruption across 3 continents. The alien transmission followed immediately. Demonstration complete. Your species' resistance capacity has been evaluated and found negligible. Your civilization will be repurposed within 48 hours. Further demonstrations will target oceanic bodies, rendering your atmosphere uninhabitable through rapid temperature increase. In her CDC lab, Dr. Chen injected herself with the enhanced version of her microbiome therapy, a cocktail of modified gut bacteria that had granted her immunity to the myriad's influence. Her colleagues had begged her to test it on animals first, but there wasn't time. Fire spread through her veins. She bit through her lip to keep from screaming. Recording vital signs, her assistant said, voice trembling. Temperature 104 and rising, blood pressure dropping. Chen gasped as the pain subsided momentarily. If it kills me, preserve my blood. The compound is in there. It disrupts their control frequency. The lab's main screen activated, showing global government representatives, preparing to announce Earth's surrender. Billions watched, resignation replacing panic. Chen couldn't allow it. She hacked into the broadcast using emergency medical override codes. Don't surrender, she announced to the world. They're not invincible. They fear Mars. The broadcast cut off immediately. Seconds later, orbital strikes targeted her CDC facility. Confirmation that she'd struck a nerve. Beneath the Pacific, Major Shen Li commanded the Zhenghe, Earth's last operational ballistic submarine. His orders: stay hidden, stay alive, prepare for humanity's final counterstrike. Targeting solution complete, his XO reported. Warheads modified with Martian meteorite fragments as you ordered, sir. Fire, Li commanded. 8 missiles broke the ocean's surface, their conventional engines replaced with experimental ion drives that left no exhaust trail. They accelerated toward the Myriad mothership, approaching from 8 different vectors. In orbit, the aliens detected the threat too late. 7 missiles were intercepted. 1 penetrated. On the mothership's command deck, hundreds of Myriad soldiers collapsed, writhing as their control circuitry malfunctioned. Their screams, the first emotion they'd displayed, echoed through the vessel. On Mars Station, Wade accessed the ancient facility's entrance beneath Olympus Mons. The airlock was designed for humanoid bodies, but the writings were in no language ever recorded by humans. Command, I'm proceeding inside, he reported, fully aware that Protocol Ares was still armed and awaiting his authorization. A holographic projection activated, showing humanoid aliens with features disturbingly similar to Earth humans but with subtle differences. The recording was degraded, but Wade understood enough. Seeded Earth as genetic failsafe, maximum biological diversity, should the devourer return. This facility will amplify the defender frequency when activated by the correct genetic key. Wade's comms crackled. Commander, the Myriad fleet has changed course. They're abandoning Earth entirely. All vessels are now accelerating toward Mars. Inside the facility, Wade found a crystalline structure that pulsed in sync with his heartbeat. When his hand touched it, the crystal turned blood red, scanning his DNA. Genetic marker identified. Partial activation sequence accepted. Wade stared in shock as the facility hummed to life. They're not coming to destroy Earth, he realized. They're coming to stop us from activating this. His monitor showed new horrors unfolding on Earth, thousands of metallic pods descending over major cities. From them emerged humans transformed into Myriad-controlled drones, beginning construction of massive structures aimed at the stars. Not weapons, beacons, calling something from deep space. Special Forces Commander Davi Santos crouched in the Amazon rainforest, watching the crashed alien ship through his thermal scope. His 12-person team had tracked it for 13 hours through nearly impenetrable jungle. Sir, movement at the primary hatch, his lieutenant whispered. Santos tensed as the ship's door opened, but instead of the synchronized upright myriad they'd encountered in cities worldwide, these aliens stumbled out. Movements erratic, circuitry beneath their translucent skin flickering rather than glowing steadily. Weapons ready, Santos ordered. The lead alien raised its hands, a shockingly human gesture. We, not enemy, it said in broken English. We escaped. Dr. Chen lay strapped to a medical bed, convulsing as her enhanced microbiome therapy ravaged her body. Her temperature had hit 106 degrees F before stabilizing. Internal bleeding threatened multiple organs. She'd never felt more alive. "The formula works," she gasped to her assistant. "My blood. It's toxic to their neural control system." The lab door burst open. 3 converted humans entered, their skin partially transformed with the same translucent quality as the myriad. They moved with unnatural coordination, speaking in perfect unison. "Dr. Chen, your biological contamination threatens necessary integration. You will be neutralized." Her assistant leapt forward, splashing them with Chen's blood sample. They screamed, the first human sound they'd made since conversion, as their circuitry began to short-circuit. Chen's monitor activated, showing a secure transmission from the Amazon. A Brazilian Special Forces commander appeared alongside what appeared to be myriad aliens. "Doctor, we have survivors here. They call themselves Schism and say they broke free from something they call the Hive. They're asking for you specifically." On Mars, Wade ventured deeper into the ancient facility, following holographic markers that responded to his presence. The structure extended kilometers beneath Olympus Mons, machinery humming with increasing intensity as more systems activated. A central chamber opened before him, revealing a massive crystalline array suspended over what appeared to be a broadcasting dish aimed at Earth. The holographic aliens appeared again, their message now translating clearly. "We seeded Earth with our genetic template, modified for maximum diversity. When the Devourer returns, the Defender signal can be amplified through your unique biological patterns. The facility requires the correct DNA resonance to fully activate." Wade's comm unit crackled. "Commander, the Myriad fleet has increased acceleration. Time to Mars orbit, 18 hours. They've deployed all weapon systems." In the Amazon, the alien called Schism struggled to explain through damaged speech centers. "We were 17 peaceful species, encountered entity in deep space, parasitic, intelligence, consumes minds, uses bodies as vessels, fought for centuries, losing. When entity reached your solar system, something disrupted control patterns." Santos looked skeptical. "What disrupted it?" "Fungus. In your rainforest, compound blocks neural control. Similar to female doctors. Treatment." On Chen's monitor, she watched as Santos held up a specimen container with an iridescent blue fungus. "This is what saved them, Doctor. When their ship crashed here, this fungus released spores that disrupted whatever controls them. They say it doesn't exist anywhere else in the galaxy." Chen's mind raced despite her failing body. "The fungus evolved here, just like our genetic diversity, just like the Mars facility. This isn't coincidence." Schism nodded, its damaged circuits sparking. "Not coincidence, Earth was prepared. We were 17 conquered worlds. You will not be 18th. But entity coming now, its true form, the devourer of thoughts." On screens worldwide, the conversion towers activated simultaneously, sending brilliant beams skyward. The message was clear. They weren't calling the Myriad fleet back. They were summoning something far worse. Major Lee's submarine surfaced briefly to receive new targeting data. With the Myriad fleet redirecting to Mars, Earth had a small window to counterattack the conversion operations spreading across continents. Synthesized fungal compound deployed. "To all resistance cells," his communications officer reported. "Resistance groups report 78% success rate in aerosol form." Lee studied the tactical display. Converted humans, now numbering in the millions, were constructing massive towers at 37 locations across Earth. Each tower emitted a signal aimed at a single point beyond Neptune's orbit. "Where's the carrier group?" Lee asked. "Admiral Costa has positioned the last 6 vessels in low orbit. They've modified their payloads with Dr. Chen's compound." Lee nodded grimly. "Begin Operation Lighthouse. In resistance strongholds worldwide, Special Forces teams equipped with pressurized canisters attacked conversion centers. The aerosol version of Chen's compound, enhanced with the Amazon fungus, didn't kill the converted humans. It freed them. Commander Santos led the assault. On Rio's conversion tower, his team moved through streets filled with partially transformed humans building alien technology with mechanized precision. Remember, these are victims, not enemies, he reminded his soldiers. Non-lethal takedowns only. Beside him, the alien. Schism moved with purpose, its damaged circuit still sparking. Central node, there. It pointed to a crystalline structure at the tower's base. As they approached, the converted humans suddenly stopped working. As one, they turned toward the resistance fighters. Contamination detected. They spoke in unison. Purge protocol activated. On Mars, Wade reached the facility's central chamber. The ancient machinery had transformed into a massive transmission array aimed at Earth. The holographic aliens explained its true purpose. Not a weapon, a liberation device. Will separate parasite consciousness from host bodies. Requires activation by correct genetic key. Wade placed his hand on the central crystal. It vibrated, scanning his DNA, then flashed red. Partial genetic match detected. Insufficient for full activation. Secondary key required. What secondary key? Wade demanded. The hologram flickered. Two-part system. Requires both halves of defender. Sequence. Wade's communication panel activated, showing Dr. Chen's pale face. Despite her deteriorating condition, her eyes burned with determination. Marcus, I've analyzed Captain Okafor's final transmission. The frequency in my blood doesn't just disrupt the parasite. It can transfer consciousness between hosts. Eliza, what are you saying? I'm dying anyway. The treatment's destroying my organs, but my consciousness, the portion of my brain that contains the defender frequency, it can be transmitted. The Mars facility can receive it. Wade stared in shock. You're talking about broadcasting your mind across space. Just the pattern. The frequency. You need a second genetic key to activate the facility. I think I'm that key. In orbit, Admiral Costa's carrier group engaged the Myriad rear guard. Missiles loaded with the fungal compound struck 6 alien vessels. On their bridges, Myriad crews broke free from control, their ships immediately turning against the still controlled. Fleet, it's working, Costa's tactical officer shouted. The moment of victory was brief. The mothership's main weapon fired, vaporizing 3 human vessels instantly. Costa watched his tactical display as ship after ship vanished. Continue attack pattern, he ordered calmly as his flagship absorbed a direct hit. Bridge temperatures, rising to lethal levels. For Earth, his final transmission reached Major Lee's submarine. Compounds effective, Myriad can be freed, but something massive is coming from deep space. God help us all. On radar screens worldwide it appeared, a living vessel larger than Earth's moon approaching from beyond Pluto's orbit. The Devourer had arrived. Dr. Chen lay dying in her CDC isolation chamber, medical equipment failing around her as her organs began shutting down. The experimental treatment had ravaged her body, but perfected the frequency that disrupted the parasite's control. Broadcasting array aligned, her assistant reported. Radio telescope network reconfigured to transmit neural patterns. Chen smiled weakly. Funny. I'll be the first human to have her consciousness broadcast to Mars. Dr. Chen, this will kill you, her assistant whispered. I'm already dead, Chen replied. This way, part of me might survive, might save everyone. She closed her eyes as the equipment powered up, scanning her brain's neural patterns and converting them into a directed signal aimed at Mars. The pain was excruciating, like her mind was being pulled apart cell by cell. Then, darkness. On Mars, Wade watched in horror as the Myriad fleet entered orbit, weapons targeting the Olympus Mons region. Seismic sensors showed dropships descending toward the facility's location. Perimeter defenses activated, his technician reported. But they won't hold against this many hostiles. Wade stared at the central crystal, still pulsing red, awaiting its second genetic key. Transmission detected, pattern analysis underway. The facility's speakers crackled with a voice. Chen's voice, distorted but recognizable. "Marcus, I'm here. At least part of me is." Wade touched the communications panel. "Eliza? How is this possible?" "My consciousness. Fragmented. The facility is reconstructing it. But I can't maintain coherence for long." The crystal suddenly pulsed with blue light, intermingling with the red. Secondary genetic key detected. Partial integration. Successful. Wade felt a strange sensation, as if someone else's thoughts were merging with his own. Chen's voice now seemed to come from inside his head rather than the speakers. "I can see it now," her voice whispered in his mind. "The facility's purpose, the Creator's plan. We need to let them in, Marcus." "Let who in? The myriad?" "Yes. As many as possible." Commander Santos and his team fought their way to Rio's conversion tower, deploying aerosol canisters that freed converted humans from the parasite's control. But for every one they freed, 10 more attacked. "We're not going to make it," his lieutenant gasped as they took cover behind a fallen concrete slab. The schism alien touched Santos's arm. Signal. Changing. Above them, the conversion tower's beam suddenly flickered, its color shifting from harsh white to blue-red pulses. Worldwide, all 37 towers simultaneously changed frequency. The converted humans stopped attacking, standing motionless as if awaiting new instructions. Major Lee's submarine surfaced near Hawaii, his crew watching in awe as the sky filled with aurora-like patterns, the result of the Devourer's massive form interacting with Earth's magnetosphere. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Mars," his communications officer reported. "It's unlike anything I've ever seen." The transmission contained no words, only a pattern, a frequency that, when played through the submarine's speakers, made every crew member feel a strange sense of remembrance, as if they were recalling something they'd never actually experienced. Lee understood immediately. "Broadcast this on all frequencies. Get it to every resistance cell. This is what we've been waiting for." In Mars orbit, the myriad fleet's formation suddenly broke apart. Ship fired upon ship as liberated crews fought those still under control. Taking advantage of the chaos, Wade ordered the facility's outer doors opened. "Are you insane?" his security chief demanded. "They'll kill us all. Trust me." Wade replied, but his voice had changed. It contained echoes of Chen's inflections, as if two people were speaking through one throat. "We don't need to defeat them. We need to save them." As myriad troops breached the facility, the central crystal chamber pulsed with increasing intensity, bathing the invaders in red-blue light. One by one, they dropped their weapons, circuitry flickering beneath translucent skin. "Remember," Wade Chen told them. "Remember who you were before. The Devourer took you." And remarkably, they did. The Devourer's massive form eclipsed the sun as it positioned itself between Earth and Mars. Its surface rippled with patterns suggesting consciousness. Billions of minds consumed over eons, trapped within its living matrix. In low Earth orbit, Major Lee had transferred to humanity's last space platform, coordinating the remains of Admiral Costa's fleet, now joined by 17 liberated myriad vessels. "The hybrid frequency is working," Lee told his assembled commanders, human and alien alike. "But the Devourer is adapting. It's consuming its own fleet to evolve countermeasures." They watched in horror as the entity extended tendrils of living matter, enveloping still-controlled myriad ships and absorbing them into its mass. With each consumption, the Devourer grew, its surface developing new structures. A liberated myriad commander, circuitry now glowing green instead of blue, addressed the group. "It means to consume Mars itself. With that mass, it will become unstoppable." On Mars, the facility beneath Olympus Mons had transformed into something new. Wade and Chen's merged consciousness, directed teams of humans, and liberated myriad, reconfiguring ancient machinery according to designs neither could have conceived separately. The facility wasn't built as a weapon. Wade Chen explained, their voice a harmonious blend of both personalities. It's a consciousness transfer array. The ancient seeders discovered the devourer is vulnerable at the moment it attempts to consume a new mind. Through Wade's eyes, Chen's consciousness examined holographic displays showing the devourer's approach. The Mars array isn't powerful enough, she realized. We need more transmission points. Wade accessed Mars satellite imagery, focusing on Venus and Mercury. The seeders wouldn't have just prepared one planet, he reasoned. There must be similar facilities throughout the solar system. The Myriad commander nodded. According to our oldest records, the seeders visited every terrestrial planet, but Venus and Mercury are uninhabitable. For humans, yes, Wade Chen replied. But the facilities would be designed to survive planetary conditions. Commander Santos led a mixed team of humans and liberated Myriad through Rio's streets, reaching the converted tower now pulsing with the liberation frequency. Inside, they discovered not a weapon but a massive communication array. It's part of a solar system-wide network, Shizm explained. The Devourer built these to call itself, but they can be repurposed. Santos received an encrypted transmission from Mars, schematics showing how to reconfigure the towers to amplify the liberation frequency. Get our engineers in here, he ordered. We're about to join the counterattack. In lunar orbit, Dr. Kamala Reynolds, leading Earth's last scientific outpost, made a discovery that changed everything. The fungal compound isn't just disrupting control, she reported to Major Lee. It's revealing the Devourer's true nature. Her scans showed the entity wasn't a singular consciousness as they'd believed, but a parasitic collective that had evolved to mimic unity. The billions of minds it had consumed weren't truly integrated. They were imprisoned, their identities suppressed but intact. If we broadcast the liberation frequency at sufficient power, Reynolds explained, we might free those minds, turn the Devourer against itself. Lee immediately understood. Every consciousness fighting for control of the same entity. Exactly. Internal war on an unimaginable scale. In the Mars facility, Wade Chen completed the reconfigured array just as the first Devourer tendrils breached the atmosphere, targeting Olympus Mons. Through their shared consciousness, they sensed similar arrays awakening on Venus and Mercury, dormant for millions of years but responding to the same activation sequence. We need volunteers, Wade Chen announced to the assembled humans in Myriad. Someone must physically activate each facility. A silence fell over the group. The surface temperatures on Venus exceeded 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Mercury alternated between scorching heat and freezing cold. These are suicide missions, Wade's security chief said. 12 hands raised, 6 human, 6 Myriad. Not suicide, 1 Myriad soldier replied. Liberation. 2 experimental ships, hastily modified with Myriad technology, accelerated toward Venus and Mercury. Each carried a mixed crew of humans and liberated aliens, united by a single purpose: activate the ancient facilities before the Devourer could stop them. The Venus team endured catastrophic shield failures as they entered the planet's toxic atmosphere. Acid clouds corroded their hull while crushing atmospheric pressure threatened to implode the vessel. 3 crew members died when an interior bulkhead collapsed. Landing zone in sight, Captain Yasmin Rao reported, blood streaming from a gash on her forehead. Surface temperature 470 degrees and rising. On Mercury, the second team faced solar radiation that overwhelmed their shielding. Communication systems failed as the ship's computer systems fried one by one. Manual landing, Commander Kento Ishida ordered as the autopilot died. We have one shot at this. In Earth orbit, Major Lee's hybrid fleet engaged the Devourer's defensive perimeter. Thousands of smaller entities, like antibodies protecting the main consciousness, swarmed the attacking ships. Hold the line, Lee ordered as vessels exploded around him. We just need to buy them time. A Myriad captain's ship took a direct hit, drifting into the Devourer's outer membrane. Instead of being absorbed, the ship's liberation frequency created a localized disruption, a wound in the entity's surface that pulsed with chaotic light as imprisoned minds briefly surfaced. Target that disruption, Lee commanded. Concentrate all fire. On Venus, Captain Rao and two survivors reached the facility entrance, a crystalline door half buried in molten rock. Their environmental suits were failing, internal temperatures rising toward lethal levels. We have minutes, her myriad companion gasped, circuits flickering from heat exposure. Inside, they found a chamber identical to the Mars facility, a consciousness transfer array dormant for millions of years. At its center stood the activation crystal. Rao pressed her palm against it, leaving a layer of seared skin behind. For Earth, she whispered as the crystal pulsed red. The Mercury team crawled through irradiated regolith as their ship burned. Behind them, only Commander Ishida and one myriad soldier remained, their suits blackening under the unfiltered solar assault. There! The myriad pointed toward a metallic structure protruding from the cratered surface. As they struggled toward it, space above them distorted. A tendril of the Devourer's consciousness materialized, reaching for the facility. Go! Ishida pushed the myriad forward. I'll hold it off. He fired his remaining weapons at the tendril while his companion reached the facility entrance. The Devourer's extension engulfed him in seconds. Inside, the lone myriad reached the crystal, pressing its damaged hand against the surface just as the Devourer breached the outer chamber. The crystal pulsed green. On Mars, Wade Chen felt the connections establish, first Venus, then Mercury. 3 points of a triangle, perfectly positioned to capture the inner solar system in a liberation field now, they commanded as the Devourer's main mass approached Mars orbit. Power surged through all 3 facilities simultaneously, creating a triangular energy field that enveloped Earth, Mars, Venus, and Mercury. The liberation frequency amplified a trillionfold, penetrating the Devourer's defenses. In an instant, billions of imprisoned consciousnesses awakened. Species consumed over countless millennia suddenly remembered their identities, fighting for control of the entity that had enslaved them. The Devourer convulsed, its massive form distorting as internal war tore it apart from within. Fragments broke away, dissolving into clouds of luminescent particles. Its final lunge toward Mars ended as its outer shell disintegrated upon contact with the planet's exosphere, creating a shimmering new ring around the red planet. 3 months later, representatives of 18 liberated species gathered at the Mars facility, now a memorial and coalition headquarters. Wade Chen, their merged consciousness now permanent, addressed the assembly. They came to conquer Earth. Wade's voice began, but vanished before reaching Mars. Chen's voice finished. From this day forward, they continued together. We forge a new path, not as conquerors, but as the unconquerable. Above them, Mars' new ring glowed with the dust of a defeated nightmare, transformed into a symbol of liberation.